On today's show, we'll explore how to see your own journey as a film, complete with chapters, villains, soundtracks, and sequels. You'll learn how to map out your story so far, name your movie eras, and start scripting your next one, which you can make the best one yet. So, grab your metaphorical or real popcorn and your favorite pen, because it's time to step into the director's chair and Movify your life. Welcome to the Movify Your Life show, the plot twist you've been waiting for. I'm your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, and through the Movify Your Life method, I'll show you how to step into the starring role of your story and create a life worth watching. Every Movify Monday, you'll learn how to turn everyday moments into unforgettable memories, activate your main character energy, and use cinematic tools to boldly chase your biggest dreams, like the movie star you truly are. Because when the credits roll, I want you to look back at your life like it's the greatest film ever made, full of meaning, magic, and most importantly, zero regrets. And because I truly believe everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. So grab your popcorn, cue the music, and together, let's Movify your life.
Movify your life show begins. Lift your spirit, let joy rush in. Feel the magic, hear the roar. Step on stage and let's forward.
Welcome, not only to the Movify Your Life show, but also to a brand new year, 2026. We got this. It's January. It's bleak as hell if you live in England, but we can make the most of the whole new start, new year, new me thing. And let's just go after all our biggest, wildest dreams this year, because why the hell not? I always start the episode talking about something I've watched on TV or at the movies. And I have been watching Only Murders in the Building, season 6, I believe it is. I really love it. I love the main characters, the main actors, actresses. And I always sort of think, would I like to movify my life in this way, looking at the storylines and everything? With murder things, I'm always like, I don't really want to be surrounded by murders, but I do like the idea of being in like a little murder investigating club. Also, the idea of having a podcast, obviously, I'm into that because I have my own podcast. It's not a murder true crime podcast, but maybe one day, who knows? And despite all the murders, I would actually like to live in the Arconia. It looks really cool, that building. I love New York, but I think probably I like visiting New York more than I would like to live there. I'm not a big city person, so there's that. But I've been enjoying watching Only Murders in the Building, which is out on Disney+. Okay, so let's get into it, because it's a new year, like I say, and I want to give you a new exercise, a new way of looking at things, something new to do in this new year to help you with your personal growth and your life goals and goal setting and all that jazz. So I want you to, unsurprisingly, imagine your life as a film. The opening credits roll, your name flashes up as the star, of course, and scene by scene, your story starts to unfold. There are highs, heartbreaks, adventures, failures, rejections, and plot twists. But here's the question. If your life really was a movie, right now, what genre would it be? A cozy rom-com, a gritty drama, maybe an epic comeback story waiting for its main character moment? And what has it been? And this is probably more than one genre in the past. So multiple genres, what has it been in the past? So I want you to start thinking about this, but I am going to take you through exactly what to do for this exercise that I've just come up with. Actually, I came up with it in my local cafe while I was sitting there eating cake. So, cake is good for creativity. So, in today's episode, we're going full on Hollywood with a creative little exercise I call Your Life in Genres. You're going to map out your life like a movie timeline with chapters, genres, as I said, villains, even a soundtrack. So this is going to be really fun. So it's part reflection, part sort of play, creative play. I think we should all have more play in our lives, especially as adults. And hopefully completely eye-opening. So by the end, you'll not only see your past in a new light, but you'll know exactly what kind of film, what kind of storyline you want to create next. So grab a notebook, big sheet of paper and loads of colourful pens, and let's start storyboarding your life. Okay, so how are we going to actually do this? Basically, I want you to grab a blank page, landscape works best, and draw a long horizontal line across it. As I say, colourful pens always encouraged. Now, this is your life timeline. It also works as your script, your screenplay, storyline, narrative. Now, along this line, I want you to mark out the major chapters or phases or acts or scenes, whatever you want to call it, of your life. So you have your childhood. It's probably an obvious one. You might not be able to remember much about that. So chunk it all together. Your school years, maybe primary school, high school, maybe college or uni if you attended those. Maybe you want to do your first love. Maybe you want to do your first heartbreak. Maybe you want to do it by certain jobs or certain travels, places you've traveled to. Big turning points. Anything that feels like a big scene in your movie. Imagine it as a movie. What would be a big scene? So obviously weddings would be a big scene. Having a baby, be a big scene. Buying your first house, be a big scene. Traveling the world, big scene. Graduating from university, big scene. Just whatever seems like a big thing to you, because for one person, getting married and having kids will be huge. For another person, they might not care about that at all. So it's whatever you think is big in your life. Promotions, degrees, achievements, career goals, career achievements, love, romance, travel, marriage, babies, like I said, getting your first house, whatever it is, pop it down on that timeline, the narrative of your life. Now, under each section, we're going to give it a movie-style identity. So here's how to do it, step by step. And remember, you can re-listen to this if I'm going too fast, or slow me right down using the speed thing. But the first thing you're going to do is name the chapter, name the scene, name the act. Give it a film-worthy title. And you can actually relate this to your favorite films or certain film titles that you can tweak a little bit. So I grew up in a village called Little Haywood. So might be Little Haywood Revisited for when I went back there. Maybe it's The Lost Years or Becoming the Chief Movify. That probably only works for me. Give it a title. I'm going to go into more detail into some of these in a bit, but I just want to run through these. So number 2 is to choose a genre. Was that particular section of your life overall a comedy, a tragedy, a coming-of-age story, a survival drama, a heist narrative, a road trip movie? Get creative, give it one genre. And obviously it's going to be probably more than one, but overall, how would you choose what it is? For me personally, I hated school. So my school years, especially high school years, it would be like a dystopian horror. Dramatic, I know. But that's how I view it. My university years, on the other hand, were an amazing adventure, and even has travel adventure in there because I did a year in America. So choose your genre. Number 3 is to identify the villain. If there is one, there might not be one, but this could be a person, but more often it could be a place or a feeling or a belief, like fear, insecurity, burnout, perfectionism, self-doubt. They're all villains. We don't want them. I'm going to kick them to the curb. But if you had them during that time in your life, write them down. So my high school years, the villain might be the school itself. Or it might be a horrible teacher I hated or a person, a bully who made my life hell. I didn't really have a particular bully, but I was never in the cool group, so maybe it was the cool group who was the villain, made you feel less than, something like that. Number 4 is to add the soundtrack to that particular part of your life. So pick a song or an album that captures the energy of that phase. So it could be nostalgic, it could be empowering, it could be heartbreaking, it could be fun. What song, what lyrics, what kind of beat or vibe most sort of describes that part of your life? And number 5 is to note the lesson or the transformation you got from that era. So every great movie has a turning point. Everything can teach you something about yourself or your life. What did you learn or gain from that era? For me, my high school years, even though I hated it, it does represent a transformation, a character arc. I went from being very, very quiet, shy, terrified of speaking in year 7, start of high school, to sixth form. My sixth form school was also in my high school. To me, really finding more of my own style, my own personality, and sort of coming out my shell a bit by the time I was 18. So there was a huge character arc there. So do you have something like that? If so, write it down. And then once you've mapped out your past chapters, I want you to leave space for your next act or your sequel, however you want to look at it. So you can ask yourself, what genre do I want my life to become? Either overall or just for the next phase, because things are always changing. We always want different things. So what genre do you want the next phase of your life, the next act, to become? What is the title of your next film going to be? What are you aiming for? And who or what is the next villain you're going to slay? If you have an idea of what that villain might be, like fear of something is usually a big villain, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of change, fear of rejection, fear of success, fear of failure. And also, what is the soundtrack or song for this new era? What do you hope it's going to be? So when you're done, you'll have like a really cool visual storyboard of your life, a literal movie map showing where you've been, who you've become in the process, and where you are planning to go next, where you're heading. And it's such a powerful way to see your journey with like pride instead of judgment. Because we all, if you're anything like me, you're very hard on yourself. You judge yourself, your actions, your life, and it doesn't need to be that way. It turns everything, even the messy parts, into meaningful scenes that got you to the point you are now. And the point you are now is where you need to be, all the things you needed to go through to get to this point so you can then go on to the next act. So let's break it all down a little bit more if you want to go deeper into this. So as I said, if your life was a film, what genre would it be now? And I think we need to realize that every life has distinct acts and genres, ups and downs, and this exercise can help you reframe your story, see how far you've come, and it can even inform you of like either what you do want going forward or what you don't want going forward. It's not always until we sort of look back and connect the dots, as Steve Jobs says, that we realize it's sort of telling us something, teaching us something. So this is a really good exercise to do. So let's talk about the names a little bit more. So I said you could do names based on favorite TV shows or movies. I said Little Haywood Revisited instead of like Brideshead Revisited. There's so many options. I could do Once Upon a Time in Staffordshire, the early chapters, the countryside, coming of age. And it would be stuff like growing up in the countryside, next to a farm animals, using my imagination, small town life, but small village life, really. So I'm giving you options from my stuff now. So then my school days, I went to high school called Walton High. So maybe it could be called the Walton High Diaries. Maybe Mean Girls, the British edition, or Becoming Miss Main Character. Oh yeah, I was going to do a song for each bit. So my childhood, the song would be anything by the Spice Girls because I was a huge Spice Girls fan when I was in primary school. Girl power, all that stuff. My school days at Walton High, it would be based on like school shyness, my character arc, my early creativity. And the soundtrack could be anything by Bowling for Soup, because Bowling for Soup was the band that my friend Susie and I sort of first got into, that opened the door to like all the punk and pop punk stuff and indie stuff and rock stuff and metal stuff that we listen to going forward, like in our mid-teens onwards. So that would be my songs. The band means a lot to me. I've seen them a lot. I've met them a lot. I've interviewed them a lot. They're great guys. Jarrett, in particular, the lead singer, is a great advocate for mental health, and it just means a lot to me. And I think if I had to come up with a song, even though it didn't come out during my teen years, I loved their song Turbulence. I was going to call it Passengers then, but it's not. That's the film. Turbulence by Bowling for Soup, I think, sums up high school, sums up life. Yeah, as I said, Bowling for Soup means a lot to me and meant a lot to my teen self.
Okay, movie star, real talk. Are you tired of feeling like a background extra in your own life? Then it's time to step into the spotlight and activate your main character era. And I've got just the thing to help you do it. Grab my free Movie Star Alter Ego Starter Kit, your behind-the-scenes pass to creating the bold, brave, action-taking version of you who goes after their dreams like the star of a blockbuster. Inside, you'll discover how to design your alter ego, choose your transformational item, pick your theme song, and build the rituals and confidence cues you need to start living your life like the epic movie it was meant to be. So, if you're ready to rewrite your script, roll camera, and finally take the lead, head to movifyyourlife.com/free to download your free starter kit now. That's movifyyourlife.com/free. Your next scene starts today. And now, let's get back to the action.
My next one would be like university in Brighton. I went to Sussex Uni. So it's all about independence, creativity, self-discovery, the seaside, freedom, finding out who you are, all that stuff. It could be called Brighton Begins, The Seaside Awakening, or The Uni Years, A Coming of Confidence Story. And the song would be anything by Fall Out Boy or Less Than Jake, because I bonded with people, friends I made in uni, by listening to those songs. And I have a vivid memory of walking back through Brighton town, back to the dorms, quite tipsy, singing Fall Out Boy and Less Than Jake songs to my friend Libby. So that would be, it'd have to be one of those bands for Brighton. My next one would be The Great American Adventure. So this is when I went to Colorado, my year abroad. So it's all about travel, transformation, independence, adventure. It is honestly probably the best year of my life. So I could call it The Great American Adventure, Across the Pond, Finding Jess in the USA. The song, this is a bit embarrassing, but it could be something from the High School Musical soundtrack. because for some reason, High School Musical kind of permeated my year abroad. Me and my friends kind of watched it ironically, but not really ironically, like we really did love it. And all the songs, my roommate Katie and I went to LA and we stumbled across on Hollywood Boulevard. I think it was the DVD release, so it wasn't quite the premiere, but of High School Musical 2. Very close to Zac Efron in the flesh, very exciting. But also, one night we did get a little drunk and we were singing and dancing around to High School Musical soundtrack, and someone called the campus police on us. Not even lying. The police came to our dorm room and knocked on the door, and we turned out the lights and pretended we weren't there. And they eventually went away. But that's hilarious. So it will probably be something from the High School Musical soundtrack. My next era on the timeline would be hustling at jobs I hate. That old chestnut, based on all the soul-sucking jobs I did. Monotony, frustration, searching for meaning, thinking there must be more to life than this. I did so many low-paid, low-impact jobs that drained your soul. So it could be called the Desk Job Diary, which that's really hard to say. The Desk Job Diaries. Groundhog Days, The Corporate Chronicles, Lost in Admin. I also did retail and stuff like that and cleaning. So, ugh. And the song would obviously be 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton. That's kind of an easy one. The next one would be my self-employed / editing business era. So I started my own editing and proofreading business called Coleman Editing. And this would be about sort of freedom, creative control, building something of your own, sticking it to the man because I stopped working for the people. It could be called The Freelancer Rises, The Grammar Games, The Typo Hunter. And I think the song would be Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. Love that song. And my next era would be the travel transformation coach / digital nomad era. So if you're new here, you might not know that this podcast started out as the Travel Transformation Podcast. And that started when I sort of became a digital nomad and was working remotely all over the world. Had a great time, learnt a lot. It was the foundation for Movify Your Life. Everything that came out of that was what became Movify Your Life. So the title ideas could be Eat, Pray, Movify, The Digital Nomad Diaries, Wanderlust, the motion picture, Around the World in 80 Lessons. It's all about empowerment, going after your dreams, adventure, leaving your comfort zone. And the song would be a heart take on me because during my initial sort of foray into the digital nomad world, I stayed at a co-living house in the Basque Country in Spain for a month, and with a great group of people. We had such the best time. And wherever we went, we seemed to hear Take On Me by a-ha, like on playlists we were listening to when we went to bars and stuff. So that became our kind of like unofficial anthem. So that would be the name for that one. And my current era would obviously be my Movify Your Life era. And it's all about adventure, empowerment, transformation, cinematic rebirth, impact, helping others, razzle dazzle, red carpet, like sparkly gold things, Hollywood, all that good stuff. Maybe the title could be Red Carpet Renaissance, The Star Awakens, main character energy, the feature film. And the song, I think This Is Me from The Greatest Showman would be a good one because it's like, this is me. Finally, I've got to the point where I feel like this is the most me I've ever felt. This is what I'm meant to do. So I think that song is perfect. So those are some ideas from my own life that you could, take inspiration from when you're coming up with your own. But the thing next is to go on to your next chapter or sequel. So it's what you want to happen next. Based on everything that's come before, either it's been leading up to this or you've learned many lessons from the past about what you don't want your next act to be. Either way, I want you to put down a title for your next act if you could go out and achieve anything, because you can. So it could be, in my case, Movify Empire, the sequel, A Star Returns, the franchise era, maybe I franchise it, Beyond the Credits, the epic continues, or it could simply be called To Be Continued in cinemas worldwide. And I think my song will be Don't Stop Believing by Journey, a classic and a good message. So that's the main sort of idea behind the exercise, but you can take it a bit further. You could, I love a good colour coding session, so you could colour code each era. So this is basically putting a colour to the genre of whatever act you're talking about. So in my case, my childhood I called Little Haywood Revisited, and it would be a soft green because it's in the countryside, fields, innocence, like green would go perfectly. My high school years would probably be yellow. That can sort of represent curiosity, I think. Brighton would be turquoise. I think of like the sea, the coast, freedom, creativity. My American Adventure would obviously be red, white and blue. My hustling era would be grey because it was like all burnout and stagnation and frustration about working low-paid, low-impact jobs that I hated. My freelance era would be orange. I think it represents like energy and growth. My travel coaching era would be blue because I always think of, well, the whole brand was blue anyway, but I made it blue because of sea, sky, expansion, travel. I just think of blue. My Movify era would obviously be red. That's my brand colour. It's all about power, glamour, red carpet, main character energy. And my Empire era, which is my next one, will obviously be gold. Legacy, success, impact, glittering, razzle dazzle, gold, gold, gold. So think of the colours for each one, colour them in, either on your piece of paper. Maybe you want to create a spreadsheet. Maybe you want to do something on Canva with this, in which case go like full out, go crazy, do whatever you want. As well as colour, you could add like a symbol or an emoji or an image for each chapter. So I've been looking at the emojis. For the childhood one, nature fields, it would be like a piece of corn, tree or a leaf or something. School, it would be the backpack, maybe the pencil. Uni in Brighton, it would be a wave because I was at the coast, maybe a coffee cup, all the caffeine I needed to do my work. American Adventure, it would be a plane. My hustle jobs would probably be a clock or a computer or something. My freelance era, Coleman editing, would be a pen, maybe the paper clip, maybe Clippy. Was it called Clippy? The paper clip? The word paper clip. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about if you're my age. My travel coaching era would obviously be a globe or a compass. My Movify era would be a clapperboard or the popcorn. Empire era, the one that's coming up, would be a crown or a trophy, something gold. You could also give each era a tagline or a quote like they're a movie, like it's for a movie poster. So my childhood one could be, every story starts in a small town or village in my case. My school/uni ones could be something like finding her voice in the chaos. My travel one could be one passport stamp away from transformation. My hustling era could be from burnout to breakthrough. My freelance era could be she edited stories by day and rewrote her own by night. My Movify one could be lights, camera, transformation. I've used that. My next chapter one could be her empire was built on adventure. So basically write the tagline you'd like to see on the poster of that part of your life, or which you think would apply to that part of your life. What's like the hook or the emotional punchline? You could also add scenes or key moments for each part if you can remember them. Like my childhood would be like running through the fields, playing in the fields with my friend Lizzie. We would do that. Uni, it would be laughing on the beach with my friends, especially after a night out in the dark with Pizza King pizza on the beach, on the Pebble Beach. Jobs I hate could be me lying in bed, staring at the clock at 5 a.m. and just being like, oh God, I don't want to get up. My travel era could be me at the top of a mountain, looking at the sunset. My Movify era could be stepping onto a red carpet. You know, you get the gist. Another extra could be creating a soundtrack playlist. So not just coming up with one song, but like a whole list of songs for each part and then adding it into one long playlist. It could be like the playlist of your life, be quite cool. And then also obviously come up with songs that you think would fit the next era, the next scene of your life that you're planning to do. You could also give each era like a lesson or a superpower, like what skill or strength came out of that chapter, like expression, courage, confidence, resilience. What did you learn about yourself? You could even design the movie poster for your next chapter. And I've done a whole podcast episode on this. So if you like the idea of this, you can go back to episode 166, how to create the movie poster of your life, glamorous goal setting that actually works. And you can do that as well as this exercise. And like I say, do it on a piece of paper, do it on a spreadsheet, do it on Canva, whatever works for you. And then one last thing you can do is rate each chapter out of 5. And then obviously the next one will be 5 stars because we're going to make sure it is the most epic era of your life. So I came up with this idea. I thought it was quite a cute idea. I enjoyed doing it myself, and I think it can really teach you stuff about your past, but also your future. And yeah, I hope it really helps you. Let me know if it does. You can email me at action@movifyyourlife.com. You can DM me on Instagram at movifyyourlife. And I usually do a Movify the moment section at the end of the podcast, but I have thrown a lot at you here. And I'd rather you just go away and do this exercise. So like I say, I think it's really fun. It's really eye-opening. And it's a great sort of goal-setting thing for you to do for 2026 and beyond as well. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get something out of this. Please subscribe, follow, share this episode with someone you think would love it. Until next Movify Monday, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the red carpet.
Thank you so much for listening to the Movify Your Life show. Before you go, don't forget to sign up for the main character memo mailing list at movifyyourlife.com/list for exclusive tips, treats, and behind the scenes magic. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, leave a review, or share this podcast with a friend. Let's spread that Movify message far and wide because everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. I'll see you next week for another Movify Monday. Until then, that's a wrap.